Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with KPP Live, the show that's dedicated to providing you with advice for life so that you can live richly and work towards the life that you've earned. My name's Kyle Roy. I'm an investment advisor with KPP, joined with our CEO, Rob Davenport.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I'm glad you do that opening monologue because I wouldn't know what to say there.
Yeah, you know it. I know. You've said it before. I know you would. But, after a year and a half of filming the show, I better get it right every time. And it comes from the heart, too.
And speaking of not knowing what to say, we just show up for these programs. We don't script what we're about to talk to you about. So it comes from the heart. I think it's a better message that way.
I agree. You know, it's we were talking about that before the show, how we have a topic every week.
Right.
We don't practice, right? We have some talking points that we want to hit every so often. Right. But this is an unscripted show where you can get unfiltered access to really what we're thinking.
That's right.
So the questions that we ask are really our people don't prepare, our guests don't prepare for them, and hopefully that you all find benefit in that. So
we're not reading off teleprompters.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, and we've had a lot going on in the last couple weeks, so we've taken a little bit of time off from the show because we've been growing extremely fast. We've brought on 3 great new financial advisors into the KPP community that we're going to talk about. We've got a lot going on that we can't wait to share with the world. And in lieu of all this growth that we've had, Rob thought that would be a really good time to really educate the audience on the difference between independent financial advice and not so independent financial advice. So this show is really aimed for not only investors in general that really want to understand not only the financial services industry, but the business of financial services. Investors get very fee conscious, and it's really important to understand the different type of institutions and financial planning organizations and wealth management firms and how those firms charge fees, who gets paid, and the difference between large corporations and an independent model like we have. So this is going to be beneficial not only for investors, but really it's geared toward any financial professionals out there that want to learn more about their industry.
Well, that's right, and I have wanted to have this conversation on Coffee with KPP for quite some time. My schedule's been busy. You've had other programming that you've had go on, but it is important because in our industry, and I might actually speak to the financial advisor, possibly with another firm watching this program, but I wanted to visit with you all about the different types of financial advisors and the different arrangements that they have, employment arrangements that they have with their parent company. So let's start with that. Mm-hmm. In our line of work, as a financial advisor or a wealth manager or financial planner or registered representative, whatever we want to call ourselves, whatever your company allows, there are really 2 models. The first model is that whereby you are an actual W-2 employee for the large financial institution. This is most of the stock brokerage firms, okay, that are largely now owned by banks, right? Mm-hmm. This also is the same model usually for the large insurance companies.
That's right.
So in these environments, and I'm not saying these are bad environments, these are just one type of environment, the financial advisor receives somewhere between 30 to 50 cents on every commission dollar or every gross fee dollar that they generate from their book of business. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's important because the house, the parent company, takes the remaining 70 or 50%. Now, why would that be considered a fair trade? Well, in these large W-2 employer-employee worlds, they provide you all the support. Mm-hmm. You come in, you have a desk, you have a nice environment, you have a platform for which to conduct your business. And in return, you get about 50 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. Best case scenario.
Also, you might get 401k benefits,
you get benefits, that's right,
and insurance benefits. Certain firms have incentive trips that they might send you on, which
right.
you might get at certain organizations. And you also get branding, right? I mean,
right.
a lot of those organizations and institutions, if you look around the country, and the firm for which you work, or if you're an investor for where your money's invested, if there is a sports arena or stadium named after that firm, that's where the remaining 60 to 70 cents on every dollar of those commissions or those revenue dollars go.
Well, you're right. The payout for the higher producing stockbrokers of the world is probably around 50%. The payout for the lower producing, the newer advisors within these organizations, and sometimes within the insurance community, is closer to 30 or 40% payout. So correct, the remainder, the 60 or 50 or 70% of the dollar that's with the house, that's going to pay all those levels of management and all those people and all those brick and mortar buildings and all that benefit and all those stadiums that they put their name on. So that's not a bad model. That is just a model, a W-2 employer-employee model. I suppose the one challenge I have with that model is not so much about you paying for all the support through a reduced payout, but the one concept I wrestle with is ownership. So you work all these years under this type of arrangement. You attract people to become your clientele. You may have spent money on these prospective clients to go to dinner with you or what may be. But the reality is you worked hard to build a book of business. Now, Kyle, whose book of business is that?
It's the institution.
Right. So if that advisor leaves one day down the road, that advisor leaves that W-2 employer-employee world, what happens to those clientele?
That's a great question. So it's up to the institution to diversify those clientele among the advisors that work there, which is another key point, because if the advisor doesn't necessarily own their business,
right,
the institution does, right? And this might come across as the wrong way, but the question that we ask as independents is, who is that advisor working for?
That's right.
If you're a W-2 employee, and who are you working for? Are you working for your clients, or are you working for the company?
Well,
and it's
legally, you're working on behalf of the company. Now, morally, I suppose you should be working and always doing what's best for the client.
And
right?
there are many great advisors that in that situation,
there are,
no question.
You should be at a fiduciary standard. But the reason why we bring this up is so that the public in general understands that there are certain types of advisors that are actual employees of large companies, and they do receive benefits for being those employees. But really, technically, it is difficult to say that you own those clientele when you're in that type of atmosphere. Here's a good example. Let's say I worked for a large employer, and I was a W-2, but a successful financial advisor. In 15 years, I work hard, and I build this book of business, and I have $100 million under management or more, and the gross revenue is a big number now. But let's say I get fed up and I leave. And I want to go independent. Well, I can't take all of that client information with me. I can take the client's name and the email address and the cell phone number and maybe the home address, but that's it. It's not like I can take the file with all the years of notes with me. I'm not allowed to do that. That's property of the parent company, okay? So it makes it difficult to leave that environment. Plus, if I do leave, what's going to happen is within a few hours, the complex manager of that firm is going to pass out a list of all my clientele, and all the advisors left over are going to call my clients and try to, retain those accounts inside the operation, right? Okay, so that is just something I struggle with as it relates to ownership. In our world, we work so hard to attract new, wonderful client families that we are blessed to actually own those relationships. So I suppose that is a major difference between an W-2 employer-employee model and an independent model. In an independent model, we are not under a W-2 contract with any parent company.
Right.
We have a 1099 relationship, which is an independent contractor status, which means we own our book of business. We can take our book of business with us if we decide to change, and no one can kind of get in our way. Okay? Independence also means the house is not taking 50 or 70% of the gross dollar. The house, LPL Financial in our situation, might take 5 or 10%, which leaves a larger portion of the dollar for us to run our business.
That's right. Well, and let's talk about that too, because we mentioned LPL Financial, and especially with these new offices that we're bringing on board, we hear a lot of clients that say, I've never heard of LPL.
Right.
And that might be a deterrent for advisors that leave these well-known large corporations that do have stadium and do have marketing dollars and things like that. So people question, because on the independent side, investors and advisors alike might question the size and strength of LPL,
right,
and an independent financial advisor's ability to utilize technology, trading capabilities, and things like that. So if you don't mind, talk a little bit about that. Who is LPL? What is their size and scope, and what kind of resources does the independent advisor have?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me these statistics, so I brought out a cheat sheet.
So not scripted, but we did prepare for that.
Well, sure. LPL was founded in 1989. There are now about 19,500 advisors like us connected to LPL throughout the country, which ranks it as the largest independent broker-dealer in the United States.
Which is really important. So over 19,500 independent financial advisors, and I think it's important to note that you may have never heard of LPL. You won't see an LPL stadium or a commercial simply because, and this show is a perfect example. We call this show Coffee with KPP Live.
Right.
We're able to brand ourselves. LPL works behind the scenes. Rob's going to go into the strength of it, but just the fact that we're able to do this show is indicative of our ability to serve our clients in a different manner.
Well, LPL has, it says here, over 6 million client accounts. They're number 466 on the Fortune 500 list. Number one independent broker-dealer in the nation. Number one provider of third-party investment services to banks and credit unions, and the number 3 custodian, RIA custodian in the country. So it's okay that you haven't heard of LPL, because LPL doesn't work for you. We work for you. LPL works for us. We pay LPL a large sum of money to provide us back office support so that we can work effectively for you. You are not a client of LPL's. You are a client of ours.
Of KPP.
Of KPP. We're simply using LPL to help provide wonderful service and technology systems for you to use. And we are very happy with LPL. They've done a very good job. But this is not about LPL. At the end of the day, this is about people understanding the difference between a captive W-2 financial advisor and what that means for the advisor as a business owner versus having independence. In our world, we receive more of the payout than does the non-independent or W-2 employee model. We receive a lot more income. But what do we have to do with some of that income? We have to pay some of our bills, our business expenses. So what I've been able to do with my partner Ken O'Neill, and now you and others here, is we've been able to build an environment where different people from different backgrounds have come together. And we are able to share office expenses and support. So a person that comes over, an advisor that comes over to KPP, is going to receive a payout nearly at 80 cents on the dollar. Okay? And they're going to walk in and they're going to have access to a receptionist who's going to take the calls and schedule meetings and clean up after us in the conference room and other wonderful things that Marcia in our situation does. But they're going to have access to a marketing director and marketing support. They're going to have access to administrative support. Advisors should not do paperwork. They'll simply mess it up. The staff need to do the paperwork. So the advisor receives full support, administrative support, compliance support, receptionist support, marketing support, team support here as it relates to joint work and where some of our specialties lie. So I suppose what I'm saying is that independence doesn't mean no support. Independence simply means more responsibility, more payout, more control, more ownership, more entrepreneurialism, in my opinion.
Yeah, and another way that I think about it too is we believe that our clients are working with us.
That's right.
That we are the most important part of our business is the faith that our clients, the faith and trust that our clients put in us. And we want to make sure that our clients know that we are here for them. And if you're an advisor working in a situation where you believe that you have that relationship with your clients, where your clients are working with you, not with your firm, then the independent model might be a place that you go. If you are an investor and you believe that your relationship is with your advisor, not with the firm or the company that might be on your statement, then that's a dynamic to know and understand as an investor because it's important to know how the cookie is made, quite frankly. It really is important to know the background that comes down to the investment solutions that an advisor can provide you and that you are provided.
So in this morning's Coffee with KPP, and we'll wrap it up here shortly, we just wanted to touch on the differences between the W-2 employee advisor model and the independent model. We fall on the independent model side. For most of my career, I grew up on the corporate side, where I had a W-2, I had benefits, I had all these luxuries, but it wasn't my business. Only until I left the corporate world, and with Ken O'Neill and others here, were we able to actually start up and grow our own business. Our advisors here at KPP, they own their book of business. We are merely here to support them in the growth of their particular business models. We do promote people working together, but many folks are silo, and that's just their approach. Regardless, it doesn't matter to us. We're here to support them, okay? But it's very important for people to find freedom if they're looking for it. And freedom, in my opinion, in this line of work is the independent model. Whether it's just full RIA, Registered Investment Advisor solution, or a hybrid model like we have, where we have an affiliation with LPL Financial and our own registered SEC RIA. But I don't believe freedom is the W-2 model. It's not to say that's not a comprehensive business model. It is, and they do provide good training in the early stages of one's career. But ultimately, if one is looking for business ownership and control and a value that you can actually put on your net worth statement, right? That's our side of the house. That's where we reside. And if you're interested in learning more about the opportunities here at Kentucky Planning Partners, by all means, feel free to reach out to myself or Kyle, and we would love to have a cup of coffee with you. We'll be the first to tell you whether or not you're prepared to go directly and join an LPL Financial.
That's right.
Or if you're better to come into an environment that we've established with all this support structure, and you're better off inside this environment. We will try to help you figure that out in a very friendly, objective sort of manner. So
yeah, and what we'll do is we'll challenge each other, right? One of the things that we say, the mottos of the office, is that we're stronger together. And it's true, because in order to be truly independent, you also need to be dependent on others.
Right.
You know, we are stronger together, and although we are independent practitioners in the office, we do not have the market cornered on great ideas, is what our president Ken O'Neill always says,
Yeah.
right? We lean on each other to bring different perspectives into the fray. With our regional offices in Somerset and Bowling Green, now in Nashville and Clarksville, Tennessee, we're able to draw on the experiences of our clients regionally and the experiences of our advisors regionally, so that although every client has an individual customizable situation, we find that situations rhyme with each other.
Right.
So we're able to bring the resources of not only LPL, but our advisors together to be able to deliver solutions to each other. So independence does not mean that you're on an island.
no.
And also, I'd suggest as well, this word fiduciary is thrown out probably too haphazardly, in my personal opinion. Everybody is talking about a fiduciary, and when Rob talked about being free and free to run your practice, I personally believe that one cannot be a fiduciary if A, you're struggling to pay your own bills,
Right.
B, you have sales incentives or sales goals that a company wants you to hit,
Right.
i.e. trips, or if there are firms that do not pay advisors a match in their 401k, or they lose benefits if they don't sell certain long-term care products or insurance products. The independent model, we believe, really gives you the freedom and flexibility to truly act as a fiduciary without the pressure of outside influences determining what products or solutions you put in front of a client. And that's really the bottom line, baseline ability to be free to truly sit across a client, agnostic of any product and solutions, and care only about what your client needs, and know you've got the resources to be able to deliver it.
Well, I think it eliminates many conflicts of interest. And if there are conflicts of interest, you should disclose those. But the reality is there is a beautiful life here in the independent business model. It can increase one's responsibility to sit up straight and become a business owner instead of just an employee. But it is a lot easier when you have the help of a team like us. And kudos to all of your efforts recently. Our firm has dramatically grown in the last 6 months, even in the last 3 months, due to a large part your efforts and your relationships. We've added a large team that was down in Nashville. That was already with LPL Financial, but they switched over to our OSJ, our Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction, as they call it. So they are connected to KPP in that we are their OSJ principal. And we have another office that just joined us from Raymond James, LaDonna Dowdy's group down in Clarksville, Tennessee. And talk about an impressive operation LaDonna's built. So,
and I can't wait for you to introduce the community to LaDonna. We're going to do a show before long,
but
and she's just an amazing person.
We're very excited about AMF joining us out of Hendersonville, Kentucky, or Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is outside of Nashville. And that's David McElwain and Chris Arnold and what they've built. Tremendous operation there with AMF. They are now part of our organization. And Dowdy Financial down in Clarksville. So these firms would not join KPP and LPL if they did not see that we didn't have our act together. And So professionals, when they hang out together and when they join forces, they truly can create a formula of success, which is a 1 + 1 = 3 type mathematics. So
That's right.
we're very excited to have LaDonna and her team on board. We're excited to have Chris and David and their team on board.
Couldn't be more proud.
And KPP is now over 1.2 billion in assets under management, and while that's a big number, we still will never forget about who our clients are and whom we serve every day. And those are our client families and our 401k clientele as well. But we hope this has been valuable. If you're in the industry and you want to learn more about KPP, by all means, give us a shout, and we will set up a confidential time to maybe have coffee with you.
Yeah.
If you're a client or a prospective client and you're watching this, hopefully you've learned a little something. I will tell you that I'm so very happy to come to work every day because I see what's going on around here, and I just couldn't be more thrilled and excited about our future.
Absolutely. And I'm reminded of an advisor that had come over to actually an LPL years ago from one of those captive firms. And he said to me, Kyle, when the scales of deceit over your eyes dictate your way of life, they become impossible to remove. So if you're an advisor in a situation that is captive, that does work for a large corporation, and your clients are working with that corporation, but not with you, come in. Take us up on the offer, have coffee with us, and see if those scales of deceit are in fact dictating your way of life. We'll help show you the other way. And again, to Rob's point, if you're a client and if you have a relationship with a firm like that and you want a more customized, independent relationship, give us a call at KPP. We'd love the opportunity to talk to you about how we serve our clients with LPL and with our group. So with that said, thank you for watching. On behalf of everybody here at KPP, I hope you have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.